HoneyBuntv.
You making me wanna spend this money, gorgeous, all on you, girl.
Honey Buns, and what is up? Let's make a Uno resin card top today. As y'all know, everything you need is going to be in the description box listed below, okay? And also, as you can see here, I am using a old skirt that just don't fit Big Mama anymore. Now, this is my seam ripper, and we are going to be ripping these seams out instead of cutting, because sometimes when you cut your fabric or your transformer, you could cut a little bit of extra fabric than what you need to. Your choice totally, but I just prefer to seam rip certain things. So if you don't know how to bust your seams, all you're going to do is that line that you see me pushing my seam ripper through, you're just going to push it through and basically rip the seam, okay? Now, you're really supposed to use your seam ripper with the ball facing down, but I've just cultivated a habit of pushing my seam ripper up with the ball facing up, okay? But do it your way, as long as you bust them seams. Now, after we finish doing that, we are going to go on to the casting process, which it got very hot, honey, and then we're going to move on to cutting. Now, as you can see here, I'm using saran wrap and tape, and all I'm gonna do is wrap it around me, and that is going to make my cast. Now, I would recommend, if you do have somebody that can help you, let them help you, okay? Because you're gonna wrap this thing around, and it needs to be wrapped around tight. As you can see me here, I'm kind of struggling, and I'm trying to take my time at the same time, but baby, it's also hot, and it's just like, girl, I need this to really work. So I'm just gonna step off camera and do that really quick. And then I'm going to come back and cut it. And as you know, saran wrap already sticks to itself, but I'm just going to paste it down. And then I'm going to get my tape, and I'm going to wrap it around myself just to solidify that molding, because we want it to be a little bit hard. And take your time, because you ain't going nowhere right now. So just wrap it around. Now, as we come to a closing of the wrapping, and you don't want to wrap it around too tight to the point you can't breathe, honey, because listen, look at me. Just look at me. We are going to cut the back. Now, after you cut the back, you are just going to get yourself a bowl of warm temperature water. Put your Uno cards in for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you are going to pull it out. Now, my Uno cards were kind of floppy when I pulled them out. As you can see, the water is seeping through the card right there. They should be almost wiggly to the point when you put them on top of your fabric, it sticks to it. And the fabric that I'm using, it kind of has a leather stretchy tone to it, if that makes sense. And also, as you can see it. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm just cutting my top to my desired measurements, and of course adding on extra seam allowance, because I'm still trying to get my mind together on what I want to do. And now for the back of the top, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to tie the top? Do I want to use elastic to go around with some grommets like a corset? Or do I just want to put some also clear elastic so it'll be clear through? But then I really thought about it, and I'm like, well, I really kind of like the tie method. And if you don't know what I mean, I did this for my bandana top, where I just tied it, versus as a corset where you just put it on and seal the back. So I will put the video down below so you guys can click and see how I did that, because the same method applies. Now, sometimes when people do resin top, is it resin? When some people do resin top, we just gonna go with that that word and that pronunciation right now. Some may do a corset backing to pull, but I just always prefer the strings or the flaps to pull. Now, I have my top on top of not only my cast, but you can put a bra on top of it so you can have that kind of curvature, if it matters to you and or not. Because I'm like, I kind of don't want it to fit to my body all that way, because it's already hard, so I don't want it to be irritating me that much. And that's another reason why I use this skirt, because it is leather and it's not like stretchy, so it'll be touching my skin, but not as much as a stretchy or a thinner fabric would be. So now I'm dipping my cards. My cards are already wet, but for extra security, I'm just dipping them in some fabric fusion glue. Now, this is just an observation. When I put the fabric fusion glue on and then I mixed it kind of in on top of my Uno cards, it did give me a glazed, clear overcast, okay? And it wasn't as hard, it was still stretchy. So I think the next time I make one of these resin tops, or you know, these theatrical pretty tops, I may try to use the fabric fusion on top of it just to see what it will look like if I'm putting something on top of a top versus, you know, just having a plain top X, Y, and Z. But here I am just putting the glue on the fabric and putting my cards on there and taking my time in the placement. So now I'm just showing you the fabric fusion, or I haven't used a E600 glue for this, but I'm thinking to myself, girl, well, now we got to decorate it. So that's where the rhinestones are coming from, and I'm also probably going to put some pearls on it. I was still trying in my mind to figure out how can we razzle dazzle it up, and I'm not sure if you guys can really see, but do you see how kind of glazy it is on top? And that's due to the fabric fusion. And obviously my cards are dry now, so I think maybe next time I may leave them in there a little bit longer to see if that will just affect the hardness rather than not the hardness, well, the softness of it, I guess, rather. So now, towards the end of it, I just wanted to make sure that my cards were secure on my top. And then I went to go ahead and mix my resin. If you've ever worked or never worked with resin, then you know you need to add equal both parts. So there'll typically be an A and a B on the bottles that you get, or maybe it'll say a 1 and a 2. And you're just going to mix them equally. And I poured it on top of here. You guys can't see it, but you're going to see the aftermath. This is how it is. Hard. Okay, it's hard, it dried. So once I realized that, I took it upstairs and I'm like, oh baby, what am I going to do with this top? I gotta make this look so pretty, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm just feeling the cards, but I definitely want to do this a different way next time. But I sprazzle, dazzle, spoozle it up, and baby, this is how it came out. And I hope that was so helpful to you, honey buns. I will see you guys next time on Honey Bun TV. Mwah.